Welcome and good afternoon to Winncom's First Movers series with Nokia webinar. Presenting today from Nokia is their account manager and funding strategist, Brooke Coleman. And from Winncom Technologies, our very own fiber product manager, Alex Cernik. If anyone has any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to add them into the chat and they will be addressed at the end of the webinar. Alex, you are up.
Dawn, thank you very much for the kind introduction. So thank you all for joining us. As Dawn mentioned, my name is Alex Cernik. I am a fiber product manager at Winncom Technologies. Before we start, for those who are new to Winncom, let me just provide a quick overview. So Winncom Technologies has been a top global supplier of eco-center solutions for almost 30 years. And today I'm excited to dive into some of those solutions together. But it's not just about our extensive product range. We also offer a full suite of technical support, including engineering, design, and consultative services. Now, with multiple warehousing facilities at our disposal, we also are ready to configure, to kit, and to deliver solutions right and when you need them. So to provide just an overview of today's presentation, first, we'll start by talking about BEAD updates. What's the latest and greatest? So there are majority of states have completed their volume 2s. So we'll go through that. A lot of states have moved to pre-qualifications. So we'll talk about why that's so important, along with some resources and guidelines based on your state. Next, we'll have Brooke from Nokia talk about their pre-order strategies and how you can maximize your BEAD application score, how you can lock in pricing, and you can take control of drawdown allowances. Next, she'll move into how Nokia's BABA certified solutions work and the critical importance and role they play into Buy America compliance. She'll talk about the power of leveraging matching funds to purchase network assets. And lastly, I'll review Winncom's enhanced BEAD services, from our BABA product eco center to our pre-engineering and advanced mapping to high-level fiber designs, grant writing services, and professional engineering. And again, as Dawn mentioned, if there's any questions about your state, requirements, pre-qualification, Nokia's product lines, or our suite of solutions, please add them as notes or to reach out to us through a one-on-one consultation later. So from a BEAD update perspective, Brooke, if you wouldn't mind, you could provide the audience just what the latest and greatest is.
Sure, absolutely. Thank you, Alex, and thank you all for having me on today. I appreciate it. I'm not seeing the map, Alex. Do you have to click one more time?
I do.
Thank you. Awesome. So we have been talking about the BEAD program for years at this point in time, but I am happy to say that the train has left the station and the train is gaining speed every day with this program, and things are starting to really ramp up and move quickly. So as you can see on the map, all the 50 states have been approved with their Volume 1. So the green striped states are those that have that Volume 1 approved, but not quite yet approved with the Volume 2 yet. We do have those states in green we have 44 states and territories at this point with their Volume 2s approved. And just a reminder, the Volume 2 outlines how each individual state is going to run their BEAD grant application process. It's, on average, 75 to 100 page document outlining the scoring criteria and, how the BEAD program is going to run in that specific state. So the NTIA has to approve that document. And once they approve that Volume 2, the state will have 365 days to submit a final proposal. And that final proposal will have a proposed list of grant applicants that they propose in order to provide a solution to provide internet for all within that state. So as you can see, we've been doing a few of these different webinars throughout the past couple of months, and this map has changed dramatically every month that we do another webinar. and we're getting closer and closer to having an entire green map. So states are really moving forward. And then you can see the states in yellow. We have 5 states that have actually opened up a grant window and are accepting applications right now. So those states are really our first mover states, and no surprise to see Louisiana as one of those states. And just an example of what the timeline looks like is on the side there, you can see Louisiana's timeline and where they've sort of been and where they are going. So their volume 1 was approved last fall, and their volume 2 was approved December 15th of last year. So like I said, they have that 365 days for the final proposal. So you can see by December 15th of this year, they will have to submit that final proposal to the NTIA. And what that means is they will have to select their proposed grant winners, and then submit their plan to provide internet for the whole state of Louisiana. And Louisiana is estimating to have that approval by Q1 of next year. That is not very far away, and it will be here in the blink of an eye with the holidays and everything going on. So it is happening. Like I said, the train is gaining a lot of speed and a lot of momentum, because then by Q2 of next year, again, not too far away, the BEAD projects will begin their deployment process in Louisiana. So that's just a sample timeline for Louisiana to give you some perspective of what is to come for all of these other states. And then if you go to the next slide, Alex, additionally with these states, some states, but not all states, will have a pre-qualification period. And so you can see some states have already ran this pre-qualification period. Some are in the middle of it right now. I am local and live here in Tennessee, and so our pre-qualification is due in October. So this is critical for folks who are even just considering applying to the BEAD program. Some states have, more strenuous pre-qualification requirements requiring, financial data or, company information and company data. Other states like Tennessee, it's simply a letter of intent to apply, and you have to let them know that you want to put your hat in the ring and participate in the BEAD program. So it's a variety of states have a variety of requirements, and some states also don't have this pre-qualification requirement. But if your state does have this pre-qualification requirement, you have to be pre-qualified if you want to apply. So it is critical to keep this in mind as you're looking at the BEAD program. So with that, I'll hand it over to you, Alex, to add some more commentary here.
Excellent, thank you so much. So as of today, there are 17 states that have either started or they've finished the BEAD qualification process. So if you are a service provider and you're looking to apply or thinking about applying for BEAD, getting pre-qualified is a must. Now, while going through that process doesn't necessarily mean you have to submit a project proposal, it is 1000% an essential step to stay in the game for any future funding rounds. So why is that so important? So if you miss your state's pre-qualification deadlines, you're not eligible to bid on any BEAD rounds of funding. Now, as Brooke mentioned, you have, I think the state has 365 days from when their volume 2 was approved. Most of them aren't going to have more than 1 or 2 waves. But again, not having your pre-qualification submitted would exempt you from being able to apply for those funds. Where we can come into play, where we can help, is we've developed some resources, some tools that make this easier to identify. And as Brooke mentioned, some states are easier than others. Some require an online form with 5 or 7 questions. Some require you to put together a letter of intent. But others, there's a 5 or 6 page document where you have to specify what technology, where your implementation is, your existing network, along with a host of other financial information. But here at Winncom, we can help you simplify this process and pull everything together. So as I said, submitting a complete application and timely applications, pivotal. So don't let the deadline stop you from building out your network. And what you're seeing here is an example of our online BEAD portal. So the left side of the screen, what I'm showcasing, we have every state, you have the dollar amounts, and then we have the corresponding deadlines. So if you click into your state, we then kind of explode the view. Example here was Colorado, but where are they in the timeline? Where are they in the process? And then we provide some documentation that makes it easier. So hyperlinks to their websites, hyperlinks to their broadband mapping, links to their challenge portal, if they provided eligible fabric data, if they've got links to their eligible guidelines, if they've got webinars discussing this. And then we provide those pivotal documents as well. So that could be a checklist for pre-qual, that could be your volume 2 if you want to pull your scoring rubric and technology preferences. So everything we can ascertain for that particular state, again, it gives you a central resource where everything is at your fingertips. Sorry, a little too quick there. But ultimately, our goal is to provide you with a clear strategy to win. We're here to help you navigate everything from reviewing your state's completed volume 2s to understanding the technology requirements and the scoring rubric. We're also here to guide you in defining your project area based on that state's particular needs, whether it's an RPA, if they're doing it based on BSLs, if they're doing it based on census blocks or zip codes. We'll help you figure out how that fits into your network expansion plan. At Winncom, our aim is to make this journey as smooth as possible while equipping you with a clear strategy for success. Now, as we go further through this webinar, we'll showcase how, by working with leading manufacturers like Nokia, these strategic partnerships, they allow us to provide BEAD certified and compliant eco-center solutions. And then we're committed in providing you with products and services that will, again, help you clearly succeed. So Brooke, I'm going to hand this back to you.
Yeah, sure. Thank you. So next we're going to move into the BABA requirement, Build America, Buy America for BEAD. And I think when this requirement first came out, a few years ago with the NOFO, it was intimidating. It was another compliance requirement of the BEAD program that folks were a bit frustrated with because it was another, compliance component that was necessary. But I believe that because of the NTIA's BABA waiver that they've passed, as well as manufacturers in the industry like Nokia, we've made it easier, more accessible and attainable to be able to meet this BABA requirement for the BEAD program. So hopefully, as everyone knows, the NTIA has certified that there is equipment that needs to meet manufacturing requirements that needs to be built here in America. However, it is not everything. There is a waiver for some pieces and components and parts that do not have to be built here, but there are a few pieces of electronics that do need to be built here for the BEAD program. So again, this is if you are a BEAD winner, you'll have to, have BABA certified products in your network that you're using to build. And products that are waived from the BABA requirement are not required to be certified. So on the screen here, you can see a list of Nokia's certified BABA equipment. You can see that we have our OLTs, OLT line cards, our optic pluggables, and our ONTs, and it specifically outlines which product is BABA compliant, where it's being manufactured, and things like that. So you can also scan that QR code there to see a full list of our certified products. And I will say to any of my other, vendor friends out there that, there is a process that the NTIA has laid out for folks who need to certify their BABA products. You'll have to spin up a website that outlines which products are BABA compliant and the list of other requirements from the NTIA. And so Nokia spun up our website that you can use the QR code there to access, and you can see which products are certified from Nokia for the BEAD program. And if you go to the next slide, Alex, I like this next slide because it sort of outlines the electronics that you need for your fiber network from end to end. So at Nokia, we have something we like to call network in a box. It's everything that you will need to run your fiber network, all the way from the core down to the home. So, the core in your central office with our IP routing solutions, the 7750s, the 7250s, etc. Those products are waived. So you can see on the diagram at the bottom how it says that they are waived. They are not required to be Build America, Buy America. You will have to disclose in your application where those products are manufactured, but they do not have to be manufactured here in the United States. Then continuing along the path of your network, the OLTs and the optics, like we mentioned, are required to be built here in America. So that's why you can see the little American flag symbols on our products there. So those are our OLTs that are certified and built here in the United States. And then the ONT, we have our XS220XA, which is certified and built here. And then you will notice the gateway ONTs. These are Wi-Fi and ONT devices in one, and those products are waived and are not required to be built here in America. So again, just for you to see visually from end-to-end Nokia solutions, as well as which types of products are required to be built here in the United States. And so, like I mentioned, this BABA requirement seemed pretty erroneous and, kind of challenging in the beginning. But I think between manufacturers like Nokia and the NTIA and the BABA waiver, we've been able to make it a little bit more reasonable and attainable. And then just to kind of take it a step further, Nokia has created a pre-order strategy to help applicants in order to increase your score in your application. Like we mentioned earlier, those volume 2s outline your state's individual scoring criteria. And so we've been strategizing with service providers and folks who are applying in order to build a strategy to help you maximize these points on your grant applications and create a strategy to win. So one of those strategies is a pre-order. So this is with Nokia, it is a non-binding pre-order. So it's basically a general letter of intent that says that you will commit to purchasing X, Y, and Z components, and they are contingent upon receiving a BEAD award. So why would you do that? What does this do for me? Basically, it helps lock in your pricing. So when you apply for a grant, you have to submit a budget. And you say, I want $5 million for X number of locations. Well, you submit a budget for that and it's a grant. So if you end up a year later, once you're going through and moving your project and costs are more than you expect, you can't go back and ask for more money. So having firm pricing in your grant budget is critical because anything that goes over your budget, you'll have to pay for out of your pocket. So it's really important that when you're applying, you make sure that your budget is accurate and that you do not have the risk of it increasing. So doing this letter of intent and this pre-order will help you firm your budget, lock in your pricing, and help you create a delivery schedule throughout your award period. So you can say when you would like to receive the equipment by, so that you can make sure you have your equipment in hand when you need it. And Nokia will also provide you with a Buy America certification letter that can be uploaded with your application in order to prove your BABA compliance. This component is now required by the NTIA. They've released some guidance that says that you need to submit a Buy America certification letter in order to document and show that your build and your project will be BABA compliant. Now, some states are requiring this Buy America certification letter at the time of their application. So even before award, you may have to submit this letter. Other states are not requiring it until later on in the process, maybe before you receive your reimbursements. However, I highly recommend that if you can get this Buy America certification letter, that you get it early and you upload it with your application if you can. This will demonstrate to the state as well as the NTIA that you are committed to following the rules of the program and that you have a plan for being BABA compliant. It will help them see that you have a plan to build this network right away. There's going to be no delays. You are ready to go. You're going to have a delivery schedule with your vendors in order to stay ahead of the supply chain issues, because remember, the entire country is going to be ordering this same type of equipment in order to build these networks. And if you can show that you're ahead of the line and that you have, your equipment vendors and all of your X, Y, and Z lined up, then it'll just show that you're ready to go. And so how it works is, basically an applicant gives Nokia this letter of intent. Again, it is non-binding pre-order, and then we can give you that Buy America certification letter. And then later, once you receive your grant award, that's when we can book a bookable PO. And so finally, this is just a few screenshots and examples of what that BABA compliant certification letter looks like. And I think we've already kind of discussed about the benefits for the applicant, but essentially the customer will get this BABA certification letter for your application. It will help you lock in your pricing for that grant budget. It will help lock in your delivery schedule for your deployment. And increase your speed to deployment, getting ahead of the supply chain, like I mentioned. And this will help you meet those build milestones. And that's important because if you want to receive your grant funds, this program is through a reimbursement basis. So every state's kind of a little different in how they do the reimbursements, but essentially you'll have to build to a certain area or pass a number certain of homes before you can receive reimbursement for costs that you've already spent. So if you can stay ahead of that and be able to meet those build milestones without delay, it'll help you access those reimbursements sooner. So back over to you, Alex.
Thank you. So from a Winncom perspective, what I'll highlight in this section are a couple of things. So we'll talk about our BABA Eco Center solutions. We'll walk into what our BEAD pre-engineering strategy is, along with some enhanced services that we could offer with high-level fiber designs, grant writing services, professional engineering services, where we can do PE stamp drawings, and then we kind of bring this full circle with our financial suite of services. But our goal, again, as I mentioned through this presentation, is to simplify a sometimes overly complex program and help you identify the right direction, pre-plan and pre-engineer, apply either through our grant writing services or through your own as you receive funds from a supply chain and logistics perspective, allow you to procure and then help you construct and operate and manage. And we do that with a three-tier customer strategy. As I mentioned previously, that product eco center, the enhanced services, and then our financing portfolio. So from an eco center perspective, Brooke did a fantastic job of talking through Nokia and what Nokia offers regarding their active fiber solutions. So I want to take a moment to talk about the passive side of that house, of how do you connect these devices. And one of the values of what Winncom can provide is that complete suite. So if you're looking for outdoor OSP cable and it's easier to do aerial because you have access to right-of-ways, we can provide you with, in that example, ADSS cable, along with the other fiber adjacent accessories you're going to need for a complete application. If it's simpler to bury that cable, we can provide direct burial cable, the corresponding conduit, and then again, all those other accessories that go with it. And what we've done from a strategy perspective is we've identified those vendors that, like Nokia, are BABA certified, that their fiberglass is coming from the United States, that final assembly is here, that 55% of their components are here, that they've self-certified their product and provide those certification documents to you. So one of our goals as your BEAD partner is not only to identify those vendors, but to be able to help from a pre-engineering, from a design perspective, and then from that supply chain That way you're ensured that every vendor that you're implementing does meet those certification requirements. Now, most of the applications, they're calling fiber first, but we are seeing areas where, in particular, high cost areas, fiber might not be cost effective. And what those customers are doing essentially is they're looking at hybrid networks. So in addition to having world-class partners like Nokia, we can also help support high cost by providing fixed wireless access. And that could be providing CBRS on last mile. That could be providing the middle mile, which would be licensed microwave or E-band 80 gig. That could be providing the infrastructure. There's a DOC de minimis waiver, which allows for, I think it's $1 million or 5%, whatever is less of the grant value, where if you need to implement towers. So we've got partners that meet those match, that have the ability to manufacture in the United States or are exempt, and then have those compliance and certification documents that we require. So again, the first prong of our strategy is to pull everything together from that eco-center perspective. From a design perspective, most of our conversations start with a one-on-one consultation of what counties are you looking for? And we start at a high level, and I usually use an analogy of an onion. Onions have layers. We essentially, through our consultative services and our pre-engineering design, we take each one of those layers and we overlay them on top of each other. And the net result is it gives you a planning area, an area of attack. So again, what you're seeing here is our QGIS hex mapping capabilities, where at a neighborhood level, we can identify and we can see via hexagons, and each one is approximately 0.2 square miles, what areas are unserved or underserved. We can look at existing technologies. So what is in that area? Is it fiber? Is it DSL? Is it cable? We can look at Ookla information. So what is the average upload and download speeds? And then we can look at exclusion areas. So was there previous funding vehicles in that mix? So the example here, there was Upshur County had RDOF funding. And again, you can't overlay BEAD with RDOF. So again, we can help you plan from that pre-engineering perspective. AI is one of the bigger buzzwords now, right? Everywhere you go, every article, it's talking about AI something or other. We have an AI generated program, and that program does a lot of really neat things. So first of which, it's a tool we can leverage to help optimize your win percentage. So there's a win-loss analysis associated to this. In addition to that, it builds out a 10-year pro forma where you can see OpEx versus CapEx, adoption rates, stages within the grant fund, but revenue expectations. The other aspect of this, and this is where that AI engine really comes in, is it develops a fiber spine based on CostQuest Tier D information and GIS mapping information. So to kind of show you what that would look like with this particular program, it starts with uploading CostQuest information. You can see that right here, where we're going to be able to identify three things. You can see subscribers, you can see commercial, and you can see CLI. But again, this is the crux of who you need to be able to map towards. And by answering some general questions, is your network aerial versus burial and what percentage? What is the average installation cost? So it's labor plus product for a 1 mile deployment. And then we'll add in a section here. It's a side module where we'll add in things like fiber adjacent accessories, like vaults, like lashing if you're doing ADSS. Again, there's fiber ancillaries that you want to see. We'll do that at a per mile rate. But by answering about 15 different questions, it's going to give us what your estimated total cost will be for this network, what your grant request will be, what your expected subscriber revenue would be. And again, it's pulling from CostQuest, it's pulling from GIS, and it's also scoring these project serviced areas. So again, the goal here is to help optimize your network. And then from a high cost perspective, you can toggle between fixed wireless access and fiber to make sure. So if I'm going backwards for a second, in this particular area, let's say there's only 20 subscribers. However, I've got to run 15 or 20 miles of fiber to get to them. So it's not necessarily cost effective. So that would be a great candidate for a hybrid type of solution. So the leveraging this program, we can, again, this is a consultative one-on-one on the phone when we review this, but we can show and contrast what the differences are. Now, in addition to that, it provides a lot of information you're going to need for your grant application. So this is an example of a 10-year pro forma. So I can see year 1 through 10, what my expected revenue would look like at a standard subscriber rate, at a premium. I can see my subscriber conversion rates. I can see my cost of goods sold, my expected gross profit, my expected expenditures, my net income. And then again, it will plot and pull data attributes associated to this. And then you have some high-level KPIs that are associated to this. So subscriber adoption per year, revenue per year, what your win probability is. And it's able to deduce that by leveraging previous vehicles and state-sponsored information they're pulling from volume 2s. So again, the use of this program not only can help optimize your network, but can be leveraged to ensure that if you're applying, you have the highest probability of winning. And again, how we do this is we're pulling from we're pulling from GIS database, from CostQuest, Tier T. So that moves into our grant writing section. A lot of the customers we're working with are looking for a turnkey provider. They want someone to help them walk through the entire process. So at a high level, we can do document verification, we can do the application writing, we can make sure you're compliant. There is a pre-award educational support piece, there's a post-award compliancy piece if requested, to make sure money doesn't get clawed back. But from an application overview, is we'll sit down with you. There's a checklist that we have. Actually, we took it from Louisiana, had an ISP checklist. A lot of states are leveraging that, but that we've created a linear approach. But with that information, we'll create an executive summary, pull together with our network design, the project narrative, the budget narrative. We'll make sure that your forms are compliant, your mapping is updated. We'll put all the information together, submit that on your behalf, and answer any questions that may come. And as I mentioned previously, there's even a post-award compliancy piece to this. As anything, and again, a big takeaway from this is timing is of the essence. If you miss the pre-qualification window, you miss eligibility for BEAD. Same thing when you get to your application windows. This isn't an overnight process. I'd say if I'm giving averages, it's 6 to 8 weeks. It takes time to collect a lot of the information, in particular the financials. Now, you want to do this in parallel to designing your network, but this slide gives you an idea of timeline. So 3 to 5 to onboard, application process is the majority of this, and pulling all that information together. There's a quality control process to this. We'll submit the application on your behalf. And as I said previously, there's an RFI support if optional. From an engineering service, this falls into 2 buckets. So the more prevalent bucket is we can do PE stamp drawings, and that'll be part of the application process. So we can either audit something you have done, or we can start from scratch. The next component of this is we can do low-level fiber designs. So this isn't something you would need to submit the application. We would get an estimated cost for this. That way you build it into your application, because unlike RDOF, BEAD, once you're given an amount, there's no way of going back and redefining it or readjusting it. So again, the use of this program, the previous AI spine gives high-level fiber designs. This would give a component-level design of what does your fiber optic network look like, designed, mapped out at a component level. And with this service, we can put boots on the ground in all 50 states. It gives us a nice force multiplier, pole tech engineers, project managers. So if you do need help in that regard, this is a suite of products and services we can certainly offer. This is an example of PE stamp drawings. We did this at it's a SKU level to make this easy. There's a standard package, and then there's a variable essentially is how long is the PE drawing, how many pages does it require, and that's based on projects. And then we pull this all together with our partner Leaf, and where Leaf becomes very interesting, I would say from two perspectives. One is the high-level fiber design has a cost, and it's a cost per county. And the grant writing service also has a cost. Now, that could be by county, that could be by RPA. It depends on how that state's defining eligible areas. But with Leaf, instead of having that cost be an upfront CapEx hit, we can carry that over a 3-year period of time. Now, why that's important. So let's assume you win your bid. You probably have anywhere between 6 and 10 months, and again, this is a speculation on my end, before you would actually have access to that money. So instead of taking that hit up front by carrying it over a longer duration of time, it is eligible in most cases for reimbursement, and it gives you a way to kind of control cash flow, a lever, so to speak. Same thing can be said on the 25% grant match, where you can carry a product equipment pre-purchase up to 5 years. So our goal, again, not only to make things simpler, but to give you a lever to pull, a way you can optimize your individual requirements. And if you do not have access to this or you have not bid on it, I would highly recommend it. It's just a registration. You put your email address, make up a password. But every webinar we've done, so there's probably close to 15 of them now, is on here recorded. And for each one, we talk about something that's different than the predecessor. As I mentioned previously, you can see individual state funding. Then you can dig into that state to see what those individual timelines look like, hyperlinks to the website, along with a host of other great information. You can see what products and suppliers are certified. You can see details into our service. But again, we try to pull everything together and have it at just a really easy to access site. All these start with a one-on-one consultation. So I would highly encourage everyone to reach out, emailing bead@winncom.com. It's a mail stop. There's a team of us that are associated to it. But what we would do for the next step is sit down and understand where you are in this process, what your individual state requirements look like, and then we put together a plan of attack based on how you want to expand your network and what help you need or what services you require. So Brooke, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I think it's just really excellent, the solutions that you all have put together. So, as an applicant looking at applying to this program, it can feel very overwhelming with the amount of compliance components that are required and all the paperwork and things that are, needed in order to apply. It's a great opportunity. There's billions of dollars out there, and someone is going to go after this money. But I think the solutions that Winncom has put together, across the board from end to end that you just went through, are excellent resources to be able to help folks. Winncom as well as Nokia, we want to help all of the applicants succeed and be able to get the BEAD funding in order to expand our networks and provide internet to rural America. So yeah, I just wanted to say that I think it's excellent. All of the solutions that you've taken into account the PE stamps that are going to be required for applicants, and then as well as the resources to help people apply. That pro forma tool is invaluable and an excellent tool when you're looking at where to apply and which areas will be, most successful for you. So yeah, I think just really great tools that you all have in order to assist applicants.
Thank you very much.